Hi, this is Sal Jade on day 23 from the Psychic Healing Academy on spiritual guidance to stay motivated and positive while you're manifesting your goals. So today I wanted to talk to you about the absolute importance of allowing yourself to get really messy while you are trying to manifest your goals. So what on earth does Sal mean by getting really messy? So yesterday I heard someone say the off-cuff remark that the pathway to success is really messy. And it resonated with me so strongly because not only in my own personal journey, but what I've seen with my clients and my psychic development students, that being able to manifest and create an extraordinary life for you is a really messy process. And sometimes you actually just have to get really messy in order to push through some blockages that may be preventing you from being able to manifest your goals or move forward with your goals. So we all love a really good survival story. So, Rocky, whether it's an 80s Rocky story of overcoming adversity, or the J.K. Rowling story of, being a single mum and living as on welfare with her daughter in a tiny little flat in Scotland and getting, 31 rejections or whatever she got before Harry Potter was taken seriously. And, these kind of stories fuel us and inspire us and make us, want to overcome those blockages and want to overcome those obstacles, which is awesome. And, that's what they're there for. And I think it's really great to read as much as you can of inspiring people who have made it, especially in the field that you're trying to succeed in. However, the one thing I would say about this process and this journey in terms of your unique soul journey is that even though in our new age world and our metaphysical law of attraction world, it is all about constantly staying positive and constantly trying to achieve this high vibration, what can often happen is that we are human, and sometimes I find that there can be incidences where things are just going wrong, and instead of trying to keep on a happy face and instead of pushing through it and struggling and suppressing your emotions, sometimes it's better just to get really messy. And what do I mean by really messy? I mean bash some pillows, scream, yell at the bed, kick some things, burst into tears, and have a real what we call catharsis of just crying, letting it all out, raise your fists at the gods and just scream and yell. And I find for me that when I can do this process, when things aren't going my way, and when I feel like I've just been pushed to the limit, that it's almost like this huge, powerful transcendence comes over me, because I'll push myself to this extreme and I'll be exhausted and I'll flip out and have a meltdown and I'll cry and scream and yell and punch pillows, and it's like I'll almost kind of collapse. And then the endorphins from the tears will kind of cleanse away that darkness and that despair, and I'll kind of be reborn again, and I'll feel like I'm stronger and ready to take more steps, and I'll be really clearer. And a personal story that happened to me many years ago, nearly 10 years ago now, when I first made the decision I was going to quit my full-time job as a teacher, as a high school teacher, and follow my dream of running my own business and being able to live an independent, financially free lifestyle. And part of the journey for me in that was that I made the decision that I needed to sell my house. And this was a big thing because, it was my mortgage, it was my beautiful house, I'd worked so hard for it. But I realized that I really needed to take a year to just job share at my teaching job and slowly integrate into starting my own business. And so I made that big decision to sell my house and to move to Lennox with some girlfriends of mine who I absolutely loved, and to give up my really beautiful house. And so I put the process in, the normal process of getting a realtor, and I put it on the market, and I got an offer, and everything was progressing smoothly. And what happened was that the people started being a mess around. It happened around Christmas, and the solicitors messed me around and closed down for 2 weeks and didn't get back to me. And so I was left at the beginning of the next school year, not knowing, where if my house was sold, like settlement hadn't happened. And I can remember being really quite anxious and getting really stirred up because I'd invested a lot in this big risk, and I'd been kind of a bit, frantic, thinking, when am I going to hear? When is settlement? When can I actually safely pack up all my stuff and give the removalist a date? When can I move? And what happened was, after weeks and weeks of anxiety and weeks of stress, and I'd committed to moving in with my girlfriends, I'd paid the last of my money in a bond, and what happened was there was a flood, like there was a heavy rain period the day before the people that evaluate your house were meant to come. And I remember waking up the next day and looking at my house, and it wasn't flooded, but it was a dark day. I had a house with a beautiful pool and lots of tropical gardens, and it just didn't look as good as it was meant to look, as its potential. And I remember ringing the evaluator and said, please, can you not come today? Can you come on Monday? Give me a chance to sort of tidy up after this bit of flooding and all this kind of stuff. And they said, no, it'll be fine. We take it all into account. Anyway, they showed up and evaluated my house, and on Monday I got a phone call from the realtor saying that the evaluation had come through much lower than I was asking and what the person had agreed to, and their mortgagee wasn't going to let them do it, and that was it. Basically, they were going to have to pull out unless I'd lowered the sale. And I couldn't lower the sale because it wasn't going to cover off my mortgage and everything else. And so it was just this absolute moment of, oh my God, what the hell am I going to do? What am I going to do? I really hit this absolute wall, and I could feel myself going into anxiety and stress, and instead I actually had a complete meltdown. I'll never forget it. If someone had filmed it, it would have been the funniest thing ever. I hung up the phone and I just collapsed on my lounge room floor and burst into screaming hysterical sobs, and I sobbed and sobbed and sobbed and sobbed, for probably 40 minutes. And I sobbed and I got it all out, and I was like, and then it was incredible. It was just this moment of clarity where I stood up like a phoenix, like something out of a Rocky movie, and I stood up and I just went, I'm going to sell this house myself, without the realtor, without anything. I'm getting it sold. And I was just so committed at that moment. And it was like, what had happened to me was, and it's what often happens to us when we're manifesting and working really hard at trying to pull off a goal, is we think there's only one way to do something, and we get really adamant and set about how there's only one way to do it. And in fact, what happens in these moments where you push through and you hit rock bottom, and in the tarot this is actually called the 10 of Swords, where you hit the rock bottom and there's nowhere else to go but up. And what happens in those rock bottom moments is other solutions start coming in that you never would have thought of. And it's almost incredibly liberating, because it's almost like suddenly the universe opens up these other ideas. And suddenly I went, well, wait a minute, I can sell the house for lower if I don't have to pay the real estate their fees. And this brought up some fear, because I thought, oh my God, now I've got to sell it on my own. And I went, well, it doesn't matter. I paid the solicitor. I've gone through the motions. I know what I need to do to sell it. I'm just going to put an ad in the paper. And literally I just put an ad in the paper for $170 instead of the $25,000 it was going to cost me to give the real estate agent. And I sold it within a week. So, very good, happy story as the end of that one. I got a few calls, and then someone came and they made me an offer that day, and I was able to get the price I wanted. And, I had to push through some fear, but that moment was just incredibly clarifying for me. And it reminded me that, sometimes the pathway to your dreams is going to be filled with these obstacles and these things where it feels like you've taken these huge risks and you're not getting rewarded for them. And so in those moments, if you can feel it all just pressing down on you and you can feel that you're going to lose it, just lose it. Absolutely lose it. Get messy. Go for it. And my first suggestion is try to go for a walk in nature and try to meditate and try to call in your angels. But if that hasn't worked for you and you are really making no progress with that, I would just lose it. Start crying, screaming, chucking things, lose it, cathart, go into the deep shadow, go into the swamp, and then when you come out the other side, you will have some clarity. So that's my little tip for today about just acknowledging. And what I wanted to add with that is that we allow other people to go through adversity, and we really watch these movies like I was talking about, like Rocky and things like J.K. Rowling and the huge success stories. We watch these movies with such eager anticipation. We watch them fall apart, we watch them pull themselves up, and we watch this message come through of perseverance and how important perseverance is. But we don't allow ourselves to do this. We kind of go into shame, and we go into this feeling that we're failing, and and whenever we actually experience these blockages. So please give yourself permission to fail. Give yourself permission to be messy when you fail. Give yourself permission to fall apart. And then feel that really transcendent, gorgeous healing moment when you pick yourself back up like the phoenix and suddenly you've transcended everything and that clarity will come in. So even though I'm a big fan of positive thinking and the law of attraction where I am, please don't go into that thing where you suddenly freak out and go, oh, I'm being ungrateful. If I cry and I scream and I rage, I'm being ungrateful, or the law of attraction is going to block it from me. Yes, it will if you do it long term, like if you're constantly doing it. But if you just do it as one big release, a big, huge emotional release, then that moment can shift huge amounts in your soul. It can open up the space for that part of you that feels really trapped. And I remember Robert Kiyosaki, when I read his book, he wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which was the book that inspired me to quit my job and start a business. He talked about how some of the best ideas he ever had came when he was sleeping in his car. Now, obviously I don't want us to all go and get homeless and end up sleeping in our cars, but that just goes to show that sometimes when we get pushed to rock bottom, that these incredible solutions and ideas come in that are actually better for us and actually fast forward our goals and manifestations in a much better way. So I hope you've enjoyed this tip today, and I hope this has really helped you the next time you're feeling a big blockage and the normal tools like meditation and going for a walk in nature aren't working for you, and just have a meltdown, have an absolute screaming hissy fit and hopefully you'll get some clarity. So thank you for joining me. This is Sal Jade from the Psychic Healing Academy. Bye.